Here we have another Electrohome VCR. This was an AVRJ04 manufactured by Mitsubishi. I believe this one was an HSU53. Same problem as the other ones. Very bad picture when playing a Super VHS tape. Let's fix this one. Okay, here we go again. We have yet another Mitsubishi Super VHS VCR. Mitsubishi made. This is another one with the Electrohome branding. This is an AVRJ04. You may have seen my video on repairing my AVRJ05 and my HSU53. This is the equivalent of, I believe it was an HSU63. It's the prior year to the 65 that had the whole fold down front. It's the same year as the J05, and how we can tell on the Electrohome brand is the J was the model year, and it has a problem. The playback picture sucks. I believe it's probably very, very similar in design to the other ones. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it doesn't contain the same module. Little different power supply layout. It's still a linear power supply on here, which is very good. Very reliable. And I don't think there's ever been any capacitors that have blown up on this particular unit like the other Mitsubishi did. My other one, the capacitors literally exploded, but the HSU53, the bottoms actually blew out on them, and they sprayed electrolytic all over the board. And that's because Mitsubishi had put ones in that were rated too close to the operating voltage. It's amazing how these manufacturers do this all too frequently too. Then they have to change the design. Unfortunately, I got an early one. And here's it looks like our video board here. Our tuners on here. And I don't see one of those little daughter boards in here. At least not yet. I wonder what's under, if I look underneath this board. Oh, wait a minute. I spoke too soon. This is actually the hi-fi board, this one. This is the hi-fi audio and the tuner's on here. I think the tuner's on there. Yeah, that's the tuner. Tuner's on here, but this is the hi-fi audio. Or at least this section of the circuit is. This section of the circuit is the tuner, and this section of the circuit is the hi-fi audio. Just as in the last two machines I repaired, it's got this bloody module made by JVC. I guess this is maybe the demod or subluminance module or something in the video process, but it only affects the Super VHS. And that's probably why it was made, the parts made by JVC. I think if we did a bit of digging, we would probably find that JVC, since they developed the Super VHS format, didn't license anybody else to make the circuitry that gave the picture enhancements. JVC wanted to maintain the quality, so they made the sub-assembly and sold it as a complete assembly. It's IC2A5 if anyone's interested, and we'll just get the solder wick out here and just remove this thing. Now, like the other machine, this one here has got surface mounted parts that are in relatively close proximity. So you got to be careful with the solder wick that the tail of it, which is hot enough to melt components, doesn't make contact with any of the other surface mounted parts in the vicinity, or you'll be inadvertently lifting other parts out and creating another problem. But there you go. You can see the shit that's leaking out of this thing. You know, another one of these JVC modules, and another problem that this is becoming like the Sony soundboard problems. So there's the capacitor that was out of the original one, the HSU53, and you can clearly see it's 4.7 microfarads at 35 volts. This one is 22 microfarads at 6.3 volts. which I find interesting that the HSU53 was 6.3. I had to go back and look at that. I thought maybe, or 4.7. I thought maybe I misread it, but there's definitely a dot there. See that? There's definitely a dot there. That's definitely 4.7 at 35 volts, whereas the other one's a 22 at 6 volts. Anyway, I just found that interesting that, you know, obviously this is the same board as the other, the HSU65 uses. The HSU82 is obviously a different circuit, and it had a different size capacitor on it. So just bringing that important part up, that check the capacity, because they are different on the different boards. There, you can see what it does to the board, right? This crud that's on the board here. This is from the leaking electrolytic. You can see it's turning the traces black. It's really bad stuff, and quite often it would actually damage the board. So we're just going to retin the board and then install a new capacitor. This one here, the landings aren't in that bad a shape, so I'm able to just put a new cap in and lay it down flat on the board, and that will get this board back in operational condition. So we'll just solder the module back in. Yes, that's another one fixed. So that's 3 Mitsubishi Super VHS machines, all with similar problems: ringing picture, smear, lines in the picture, colored lines in the picture, just a washed out picture that did not look normal, lost its detail. And same problem on all of the machines. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series on how to fix these Mitsubishi machines. I'm sure that a lot of you are going to be running into this problem with these machines. They were a relatively popular machine back in the late 80s, and there's lots of them, I think, still out there. And for anybody who's archiving tapes over to DVD, this is one of the better machines to do it with. Okay, that does it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again in the next one real soon. Bye for now.